in commemoration of the World Environmental Day, which is often celebrated on June 5th annually, established by the United Nations in 1972. It is a global platform for raising awareness and taking action on the urgent environmental issues. It is to encourage worldwide activism and foster global collaboration to protect our planet. Today, we are going to be focusing on critical environmental challenges and also remind us of our collective responsibility to care for the earth and promote sustainable practices for a healthier future, such as tree planting, clean up campaign, because a healthy environment is a foundational to maintaining and improving human health. Welcome to Health 247. I am your host, Irene Okechukwu, and today we are going to be discussing on your environment and I. And with me in the studio, I have with me an environmentalist. She is going to be telling us much more on environment. She is none other than Esther Egoma. Esther Egoma, you're welcome to the program Health 247.
It's my pleasure to be here.
All right, can you introduce yourself? Our viewers want to meet you and know who you are.
Okay, I'm Esther Michael Eguda, the coordinator of Print Rights Foundation for Sustainable Environments and Education. So as I always say, that we're a baby foundation, and what we do, we have a mother company that they are social enterprise that print, they use technology to print, design, anything that has to do with printing. This is what we do. And they have seen the need that for every paper produced, there must be a tree cut down. So that's why they have gone into sensitization, advocacy of planting more trees in order to give back to the society.
Interesting. So can you take us more on this topic? But viewers, I know you'll be wanting to know more about this, our program on Health 247. If you want to be part of this program, as usual, you can follow us on all our social media platforms on Official Rapid TV, and you can keep watching us on Star Science Channel 176. So moving on to you, can you tell us what we need to know on environment, as World Environmental Day was celebrated on June 5th. So tell our viewers what they need to know about their environment.
Yeah, World Environment Day is a day to remind us of the responsibility, our responsibility to protect our Mother Earth, which is the planet, and our environment, which we all know.
Okay.
Right? And also to remind us to take action. Already we are taking action, but it's also a call, right, to take the proper action we need to do in order to create that impact to sustain the environment itself.
Interested. So what do you think are the most pressing environmental issues today? Like, we have seen it now that the weather we used to know previously is not the weather of today. So what are those environmental issues that we are encountering today?
As you can see, one of the major things we are experiencing now, which is climate change, and we know what climate change is, the danger, and we have to look for a way to mitigate this climate change. It's a major issue we have.
Certainly.
We also have biodiversity loss, the loss of fauna and lives of microorganisms and the rest of that. Animals.
Can you please break it down a bit, because our viewers are not as scientific as you are.
When I mean biodiversity loss, mean the loss of lives of our animals, microorganisms, little animals, I don't know how to explain, microorganisms, right?
Okay, yeah.
Yes. Animals are going into extinct. There are so many animals we used to have before, but as it is now, we don't longer have them.
Oh, really?
Yes. And also another challenge we have is the pollution. Yes, we have the air pollution. When you go to Niger Delta, you know the challenge we're facing as it is of today.
Yeah, their water are being polluted.
Exactly. I could remember years back when we visited, I think Ogoni land. Do you know that those people in that environment evacuated from that land because of the oil spill?
Whoa.
Yes, and it was not really good. They had to go to another new land, and unfortunately for the government, they discovered another oil there, and to that extent, they were able to take the government to court. Yes, and they won the case, and now comfortably they are living in that environment.
So their environment is no longer polluted.
As it is for today, because nobody is there to exploit anything from there. And also another challenge we are having is I've mentioned pollution, the air pollution, the land pollution,
climate change as well.
Climate change, yes, also. And also, when it comes to that pollution aspect, it's really, really versatile. It's very large. I just mentioned of the air pollution, the water pollution. Even the land pollution is not as well left behind. Okay. Our daily activities affect the environment, right? For instance, my foundation, we are looking at how we can reduce the use of nylon. We know the effect of nylon and plastic
bags.
Yes, we know the effect, what they cause. They are the major cause of flood because they block our drainage channels, right? Because they cannot decompose. The only way we can dispose them is by burning them, and which we know the effects to the atmosphere.
Yeah.
So what we are trying to do from our own end is to see how we can reduce the use of nylon. We know we cannot entirely do away with nylon, right?
Yeah, that's true.
But we can reduce the use of nylon. And how do we do that? There is a package we call street food.
Okay.
And pack.
Is it? You mean this takeaway packs, the styrofoams?
No, not that. Okay. So instead of using polythene bags, not plastic this time around. Okay. Instead of you using your nylon pack when you go to Chicken Republic, you go to other eatery, your takeaway pack is there, but likely they'll put them inside the polythene bags. Ooh. As takeaway, right? Okay. But what we are trying to encourage, instead of using the polythene bags, we are having a paper pack.
Paper pack, how does it look like?
We have a paper pack. I didn't actually come with it, but before the end of the program, maybe we will have a look of it. Okay. We'll take a look at what we have designed. At the last Environmental Day, we celebrated with Abuja Environmental Protection Board. During our launch pack, that was what they used to serve. Yes.
So the paper bags are kind of made of paper.
Yes, they are paper basically. Oh, okay. Yes,
they don't have any hazard. It's not
no. It's just plain paper, And you know what they do, yes. You know the effect of paper. They are biodegradable materials. Okay. Yes, with time. And also, in use of nylons too, when you go to our gardens, our gardeners, what they do during raising our trees, our flowers, they transplant them into the polythene, those little
plastic bags, yes.
And what my foundation tried to do in this aspect, we recycled these papers. Okay. Yes, these papers, we recycle them into pots, creative pots. Wow. Yes, we recycle them into creative pots. And instead of planting or transplanting these trees into that polythene bags, we transplant them inside that recycled pots, and we call it biodegradable pots. You can as well start the nursing from the seed to the seedling inside that particular pot. Okay. And to the point of planting, you can as well plant these trees with the pots because they can decay, because they are biodegradable. And in the process of making this pot, we make sure that we don't use any form of chemical in producing these trees, these pots themselves, because we use natural starch, right? Yes, to make those pots and the paper himself. So it's really interesting. That is the only thing we think we can do. We have more packages, right? But we have so many things to do as an individual, right? To help to reduce this climate change issue we are talking about. We cannot actually do without these things we've mentioned. Yeah. We all know the causes of pollution. Yeah. We all know the causes of climate change. It's as a result of urbanization. Yes, it's as a result of urbanization, and we cannot easily do away with distance because we are growing. Yeah. Right?
And we constantly use them.
We cannot actually, but there are other ways we can do this by either reducing what we are doing, reusing them, or we recycle them.
Interesting.
Yes.
So in the area of climate change, what do you have to say about it? Because you just mentioned these are one of the challenges, right? Yes. So can you buttress your points on the area of climate change?
Okay, from the definition, climate change is a long shift of weather pattern, or temperature pattern, right? For instance, we know the situation of Nigerian weather. We know that our rainy season commences from April to October, which is 8 months duration. While the dry season is from November to March.
Yes.
So as we are seeing this currently, that as it stands today, what we are experiencing now is quite different from what we have experienced in the past previously. 5 years. Yes. Because gradually we are moving to that stage. We have been advocating for this, sensitizing people, educating ourselves on this. We've been hearing the stories, how it happens in other countries, right? We have not experienced it, but gradually it's approaching to where what we are observing today.
In our country.
Yes. Now, for instance, as I earlier said, this routine we already know in this country, that we have 8 months rainy season and 4 months dry season. As we speak today, the rain are no longer coming the way they ought to.
That's true.
Right? The rain are not coming. And another thing is, most of the plants, the early crops we plant at the early stage of the rainy season, when we plant them, there is not enough rain to nurture these plants. And they're already dying on our farms.
Imagine.
They are dying on our farm. I could remember, I think this season or thereabout, we should start
eating corn.
But
fresh
corns
one
are very expensive.
That's true.
For you to get a good corn, not even a good corn, for you to eat any corn freely, you don't have, if you don't have less than 200 naira, you can't buy a corn. A corn that if you want to eat corn, the season with 200 naira you can eat like 5 corns.
Exactly.
Yes, depends your location. If you go to the rural area, they don't even have the corn. I heard a woman was telling her neighbor that she went to the market to buy corn. The cost of product to buy the corn was 8 pieces.
Wow.
8 pieces costs either 1,002 or thereabout.
So where is her gain?
There is no gain. Then look at the cost of transportation. So all these are the effects of climate change. We need serious, we need to combat this seriously, because we don't really know where it's leading us to.
Exactly. Yeah. And the question right now is that, can Nigerians survive it? Anyway, we are going to go on a short break, and when we come back, we're going to know whether Nigeria is going to survive this climate change. Stay tuned. Alright viewers, welcome back on the break, and now we are going to know whether this climate change has a very, very vast effect in us, we Nigerians. Can we survive it? Is it something that we can survive? It's a question thrown to you, and it's also thrown to health, which is going to help us answer the question. So going over to you, tell us if Nigerians can survive this climate change, because it's something that, yes, we know about it, we have been sensitized, we have been giving awareness on climate change, but Nigerians, it seems so strange to Nigerians, because they have never experienced such, especially in the rural areas. Most of the farmers go to farm on time, but these days it's a different thing for them. Like, the cost of living is high, and most people are falling back to the farming, like in the rural areas, for survival. So with this climate change now that has come, do you think Nigerians can overcome it?
As it stands today, I doubt if it continues in this route, because one, the rain itself is not sustainable to maintain our agricultural products, because the rural areas you've mentioned, these are our major source of food supply.
Exactly.
And now the rains are not even there. The rain is not coming forth. So what do? Even the rivers are drying. We would have said we will go into irrigation farming, right? But the rivers are not even there. They are drying up. So how do we encourage them to get an alternative means of farming that the rain is not coming? So I actually doubt if this route continues like this, because we need remedy to this problem.
But do you think that it's just going to be this year, or it's going to be a continual thing?
No, if our attitudes change.
What attitude? Like, what do you mean by attitude?
Our individual practices.
Okay.
Our communal practices. For instance, now, we've mentioned that the major challenge is climate change, right?
Yeah.
Yes. So, like, what are those things we do? Human activities.
Yeah.
Human activities. For instance, I mentioned urbanization. There's industrialization. The more industry we have, the more carbon that will be released to the atmosphere. And this is the effect of it. It depletes the ozone layer. And the more we get more cars plying on the road, the more carbon will be emitted as well.
Yeah, that's true.
So it's all rely on us for us to combat this problem. If we really want to fight this, if you don't really need to go somewhere important that you don't need your vehicle or your car to move, you can use the public transport.
So it's not necessary that you must use your vehicle.
Exactly. And renewable energy is there. I will not say thank God, but we could remember in the past 3 or 4 years where the use of generator is generally rampant. But because of the hike of fuel, so
everybody has pipe low.
Exactly. And most people have gone to solar energy.
Solar energy, yeah.
And which is really encouraging. I was talking to somebody who is managing an hotel that, why didn't you venture into this? He said the cost of solar is very high. It's very high, but it's more
sustainable.
It's more sustainable to us and to our future generations to come.
True.
So these are the things we can do to, all right, to sustain this thing we are talking about. It's not a magic. It's not a magic. We, as individual, as a community, even government also has a role to play when it comes to this.
So when you're talking about government has a role to play, what aspects? How do they come in?
Okay, in the aspect of government, actually, you know, we must start from a step, which is an individual aspect. Then in the aspect of the government, they need to create policies and regulations to support environmental issues.
Okay.
To support and to protect the environment. For instance, my boss that traveled to South Africa, he mentioned that when he got to the store to buy some groceries, and you know our normal store here, when you buy them, they put them inside your polythene bag,
in a plastic bag,
all of that. But when he got there, he was very surprised that they didn't give him that. Virtually they were giving him, because most of these things are already packed, and if you request for nylon, you have to pay for it. So the cost of nylon is very expensive there. So you will not opt for it. So if at all you go for it, there's this reuse.
They recycle it.
No, it's still there. You know, recycling is different from reuse and reduce. You know, we have in waste management, we have 3 R's. Yes, the first one is reduce. The second, we have reuse. So what I think what they do there is when they get these polythene bags, because of the high cost of purchase, after getting it, they will keep it. Next time that they are going to the store, they go back with this particular polythene bags they have bought. They go back to use them instead of going back
to request for another one.
Because of the high cost of purchase. But in Nigeria, immediately you get it, you dispose it.
That's what we are fond of doing.
We get it, we dispose it because it is free. At everything you buy, the polythene bags are free. And if you check our environment, the litters we have everywhere is polythene bags.
It's true.
Exactly.
So you're talking about government, you know, setting up policies, right? So I think, in my own point of view, you know, most governments, what they do, they always make policies. My own question is, how can it be implemented? You don't just make policies without making it implemented. So how can it be implemented?
Yes, I actually have a reservation when it comes to that. I remember when we had, either 2 years back, when we celebrated World Environment Day, and the theme was Beat Plastic Pollution. I remember governments, there was a policy even before then that was put in place. I remember either Kado, fish market. There is a dump space there at the market there, where all the market women and the neighborhood, they come there to exchange their old plastic. Instead of you throwing them away, you bring them there, they will exchange it for money.
Wow,
yes,
that's very nice.
Government has that on ground when it comes in Abuja, right? I must say that. But the challenge is, at first, that first phase, that early stage, it was sustainable. They started implementing it. It was going fine. But if you go back to that place, nothing is happening there.
They have stopped.
They have stopped because the sustainability is not there.
Okay.
We need people who can be there, who have that mind.
So that it can be sustainable.
Exactly.
Wow.
Because I think those who they put in charge, they don't really know the importance of what they are doing.
I get.
Do you understand? Because I don't know if the mindset they have is all about money. Because if you go back to that dump site, nothing is happening there. It's an abandoned project.
Can you imagine?
So
what I know that we have stakeholders, and I know that you're working in a foundation, right?
Yes.
So what have you people done about it? Because I know you work in a foundation, you are more like the voice for the voiceless in your own area, right?
Yes.
So have you ever said anything? Have you people come out to talk about this, especially going to meet up with the government, write to the government and tell them these are certain things that needs to be done in order to avoid environmental degradation? Have people done anything about that?
We've not done. Like when we introduce, I earlier introduced ourselves.
Yeah.
I normally call ourselves Baby Foundation.
Okay.
But we just started.
Yeah.
And with this kind of publicity you've given to us, it's another way of communicating to the government. But the need, we are going to do the needful. Gradually, we are having partnership with other people, which we are trying to pave way of not gain access to that yet. But hopefully, that is our prayer, and that is what we want to do.
So what other, our viewers who are seated at home, especially those who have been there, what advice do you have to give to them, especially those ones who have linked to the government, especially in the area of fighting this environmental degradation? How do they how can they go about it? Let me take an instance. In the Western countries, you can see some kind of liters of plastic, plastic bags or something, like plastic bottles or something. But the thing is that if you eventually see, if you pick it up and go and dispose it where you're supposed to dispose it, so you'll be paid.
Yes.
So how can we, since you just told me now that such things started and all of a sudden it stopped, how can we resurrect it, like bring it back?
So the government, those working in that aspect, needs to be educated.
Okay.
They need proper education. They need to have that awareness that this is the challenges we are having, and the only way we can solve this challenge is for them to take action.
Okay.
So the action must start with an individual.
All right.
Right? Yes. You take the action, educate yourself first about it, take action, right? And collectively, we can do this. Collectively, we can do it. Because a government can make policy, but the policy cannot start implementing itself. There are people who are there that will implement this policy.
Interesting. So what advice will you have to give to the young people who want to be involved in environmental activism? There are so many people who have passion for this, because this year we said we are going to be doing what they call tree planting and other things, and that was what they have been telling us right from when we were in the kindergarten. So what advice do you have to give to the young people?
Also, I will also say they should educate themselves. Yes. Educate yourself. Take the step you need to take, because for every step counts.
Interesting.
Yes, for every step counts. And collectively, when we work together, we will see that sustainable effect on our environment.
Interesting. All right, viewers, if you have been watching, this is Health 247 on the topic and your environment and I. So we just want to enlighten you more on why you need to keep your environment safe. That is,
every step you take counts.
Every step you take counts. And she encouraged that there should be proper disposal, right?
Yeah.
And also she encouraged for more tree planting. But before we go, I told you if you want to be part of this show, you can always follow us on our social media accounts on official Rapid TV, and you can keep watching us on Star Times channel 176 on the channel Rapid TV. It's been your host Irene Okechukwu and my guest
Esther Michael Iguda.
It's a pleasure having you, and thanks for honoring our invitation.
It's my pleasure to be here too.
All right. So viewers, this is the much we can take on this topic, and thanks for staying with us.